of it, again, maybe because we're sports fanatics, in two terms, offense and defense. Organic and the free stuff and showing up, in the non-pay-per-click is very important, and obviously you need to do that. That's kind of really more defensive. That's a lot of things you're doing internally, getting your own house in order, getting your website in order, and doing all that kind of stuff. And then when you're actually, in that example, you're doing it yourself or you're paying somebody, a third party, to do it, but it's a fraction of the cost based on what you're going to get from that, because there's such a large volume of free organic clicks coming from there, and you're not paying per click. And then on the PPC side, that's really more kind of going on offense, and then you are paying, obviously, for every click, which is equally as important. So they're both very important. We kind of feel like some people do one without the other, and that's probably a mistake. And also, like I said, you really need to do the basics first before you even get to some of this advanced, stuff.
I want to make a comment. We're going to come to you. I wanted to know what your question was at the keynote speaker, because you really wanted to ask a question. I was like, hey, pick on her, pick on her. Anyway, please, what is your question?
No, I was just asking, we're talking about travel, but a lot of concentration in leisure travel. Is there any trend that applies to corporate, because of corporate travel, that's different from what you see for the leisure market?
Is there any trend for corporate travel booking online, or just...
Or any tool in addition to what you've pointed out so far?
Yeah, we've run into different things. I think it's going to depend on, are you a brand or are you an independent hotel, what your size is. We, when I was at Wyndham, we tried to penetrate that corporate booking market, but most of them had so many in-house relationships with Get There or Sabre and others virtually there that they were never allowed the employees were never allowed to book online. So the things that we focus on mainly that I feel like we can influence with the local market, local corporate market, we created pages for them and gave them doorways into the site that were private to book travel and get information. But otherwise, we focus on the leisure market, the group market, weddings and events, really depending on what your marketplace is.
Yeah, I think Mike makes a good point. What I was trying to say a little bit on one of those slides there was that a lot of times at these shows, everybody tends to focus only on leisure, so I think it's a very good question. You can apply a lot of these tactics and different things to different parts of your business. So you can apply it, as he said, to meetings and conventions, weddings. We do a lot of themed advertising, so we have ways to reach wedding planners and honeymooners and all those kinds of people, which is more kind of like a leisure group type of a thing. So even if those people are not booking online, you still can advertise and reach them through search engines and digital PR and podcasts and all those kinds of things. So don't just feel like all the stuff we talked about today is only for leisure. You can definitely reach group planners and meetings and conventions and all that kind of stuff using some of these same tactics and tools.
If I may add one other thing too, from our company side, what we're noticing is that the corporate traveler is expanding their travel to include the option to add a family component to it. Because they're already in the destination and they're making it there, they're now looking from a leisure point of view to expand why they're there, maybe to bring the family with them, because after all, the reality is part of the trip's been paid for already. So what we've started to do is add more destination information in relationship to, as was mentioned, pages that are being pushed for the corporate traveler. We're adding additional events, calendar of events, things to do, so that if they are considering extending their stay or expanding their stay to include the family, or just while I'm here, see what's going on, we've actually gotten good business by offering them a kind of a upgrade offer, extend your stay by a day, get X, Y, Z kind of thing. So, but that's what we've done in the sense of additional marketing. But the trend is they do extend their corporate travel a little bit. So.
Is there any way you can go to find out how people actually use search engines, use Google? Because to me, it seems like counterintuitive. I used to use Ask Jeeves when it first came out because you typed in a question. But with Google, you've got to put in keywords, and I find it's like an iterative process. Because the first keywords that you put in may not necessarily give you what you're looking for. What number of times do people actually execute entry of keywords before they arrive at where they want to be?
Yeah, there's you can go to Marketing Sherpa,
They've got a lot of research. They've got eye tracking studies as well as research on exactly what you're talking about. And that is a very common. That's probably the most common way that people use search engines today. They start off with very broad, 1 or 2 word searches, and then they refine it. When they see it, they don't see something that they get in the top 3 results. They'll just they'll keep adding keywords on until they get what they want.
Is there any way to optimize that process?
Actually, there was a hurdle that was crossed about 8 months ago. I don't know exactly when, where the first statistics of people using 3 to 4 word phrases exceeded the people using 2 to 3 word phrases. And although it sounds kind of strange, that was because people are getting more mature in the market of understanding how to search and using more additional words to clarify, so they don't have to go through the 1 word, then 2, then 3 process of it. But strangely enough, Google, you can still ask questions. I mean, in all honesty, Ask Jeeves, or now Ask, they just highlighted that that's how they wanted you to use them. But in all honesty, Google, how do I make a plane fly? And it'll tell you. I mean, it may be a little varied on the results, but so you still can use the same methodology. And then they also have launched their answers programs. Yahoo has it. Yeah, Yahoo Answers, where you get to go in and go to Yahoo and ask questions. And then they're also changing their platform to Panama. Yahoo at a convention out in San Jose showed the cloud of how people search. Because let's face it, anybody that searches and you're looking for one thing, all of a sudden you stop yourself 20 minutes later because you're looking at a website that had absolutely nothing to do with what started you. And they realize that. We've always been under the perception that when we're searching, we're very linear. I have to go to XYZ. I have to find a place to stay at XYZ. I got to learn how to fly to XYZ. No, I'm looking at the scores. I'm looking at this. Oh, look at these pictures here. Eventually, you get where you want, but you tangent along. And Yahoo's addressed it with accessory words, other words that help other words, like hockey. There's the assist. That person gets credit for as much of the goal as the person that actually made the goal. Well, Yahoo's developing a strategy so you can actually bid on those words. More ways to take our money. It says this word helped this word, so you want to buy that word too. That helps this word. So.
I think to that, do you have any idea how many people use advanced search? Because I used to be a database developer, and so I taught my 11-year-old how to use Boolean searching in order to help do his homework.
Yeah.
Right? But that's a bit unusual. But how many people actually click through and use the advanced search? So, like, I'm from the Cayman Islands. I hate the fact that Porsche launched a damn car called the Cayman, right? Because so many of the searches are all about car information. So if you put in minus Porsche on it, then you get much more relevant search. How do you actually use that stuff?
I don't think very much. I was at the same conference with Loren, and when we went to the Google party, they had a really cool video screen up just showing all the keywords that have been typed in real time. They filtering out 30 keywords that have been typed in. But I mean, it was amazing. There were very few people that I maybe saw out of we were sat there having a beer watching these things, which is.
I was there,
so anyway, but I mean, very few people are putting in plus or minus, or whatever into their search.
There's a great book actually on the behind the search. It's called Google Search, and there's actually books that help you that identify a lot of tools that are there for Google and for Yahoo and for MSN of how to better use their search functions with, like that was pointed out by you, Mike, the link, see who's linking to you. And there's a lot of like Google Labs if you want to see stuff that they're doing and things, but there is better ways to use Google other than the perfunctory, what words can I possibly think they must want me to think of to find what it is I want to find kind of thing. So, more questions? I think we're great about, I'm sorry, one more?
Google Analytics. How good is that?
Well, okay, please, first and then.
We use it extensively for a lot of our properties. One of the main reasons, because it's free, it's not an additional cost, and it allows us to track, depending on your reservation system, allows us to track, bookings all the way through the process, so we can tell you by keyword, what's converting for you, what's driving revenue. So it's a great tool. The only downside that some people have is that Google is also kind of has access to that data, but they don't really know that it's you or really, I don't think they're going to be worried about it, an independent hotel in New York, about what search they're getting. It's a great free tool.
Yeah, I would add to that. I love it. I've actually been using it for since they were Urchin, and I used a number of different analytics packages. Some of them were around $5,000 a month, and they did not provide the information such as like natural versus pay-per-click breakdowns that you can find in Google Analytics. So, I mean, to me, it's probably the best analytics tool in the market.
Yeah, we work with it. I think it's great. One thing I will say about when you get into tracking conversions and how many people did this and how many people did that. There's been a lot of reports that have come out that have said, you're still only getting a slice of the reporting. So keep in mind, if your report says that you ran an ad, and whether it was a banner ad, an email, a text link, whatever the heck it was, a search term, and it showed that you had, let's just say, 10 bookings from that particular marketing campaign, keep in mind there's been studies, I think Marriott had done a study that said for every one booking they tracked online, it was really like maybe 2 other bookings that they didn't know about. So really it was 3 bookings from whatever they did, 3 times that number. There's been other studies that have come out that I've seen that number actually much, much higher, more like, you track 10 and really it could have been, 30 bookings. So that's just because, there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of miss stuff. For instance, we all know the wife, usually plans to travel more than the husband. So maybe the husband clicked on something, saw something at work, then went home, and the wife booked it at home, and you're not getting credit for that because there's no way to, transfer cookies from say work to home yet. I'm sure, in another couple of years there will be. But we've seen a lot of things. We do a lot of work with booking engines, with our own booking engines and third-party engines. And it's very tricky to track those kinds of things. I mean, yes, you can kind of get an idea of what's going on, but definitely don't put all your stock in that and say, hey, we ran this and we only got 10 bookings, because when's the last time you put that kind of scrutiny on your magazine ad or your print ad or your television ad? Because we all know you guys have really no clue what those things are doing for you, and no one ever talks about that. So somehow the internet guys up here, we always get beat up for how many pennies did this cause, and that's not, sometimes I think you're missing the boat. We actually had people at the TIA, Loren, you remember, at the TIA show, the Marketing Outlook Forum, asking me, well, how many bookings came from this particular podcast? And again, there's so many ways to work with a podcast. You can do a walking tour of your hotel or of your destination. And again, no one's asking, well, how many bookings came from the pretty picture of the beach that's on your homepage? I mean, everything doesn't always have to be, ROI driven. Everything is all related, is what we're trying to say.
Another quick thing on ROI to keep in mind is that when we were working with our resorts, we ran into some issues where they were always held to this, their salespeople were held to this 10-to-1 return, so that that's what they needed to achieve based off their salary. And with our resorts, a lot of our advertising is only getting a 5-to-1 return. And we were struggling in different, search was great, that's taking that aside, but finding the other avenues and where we were going to put the money. 5-to-1, what we found after finally talking to sales and kind of going through this debate is that they included all revenues. So not only rooms revenue, but your spa, your extra services, parking, dry cleaning, whatever, food and beverage, all that in there. So when you look at your ROI, make sure you're factoring in what is the true value of that consumer. I mean, a lot of these reports, Google Analytics, whatever, it's going to pull down rooms revenue, and that's what it's going to show you as your return. But make sure you're including and factoring in all those other services to the site. At 5-to-1 may actually be generating a 10, 12, 15-to-1 for you in reality.
That's a good point that Mike just made. Also, along the same lines, not just, yes, they booked at your stay, and then he's saying, they might have went to your bar or got a spa, so that factor that in. Along those same lines, maybe they didn't make a booking, but maybe they signed up for your email newsletter or your frequent flyer program, or, maybe they read one of your press releases and then they went somewhere else, or, maybe they started on your destination website, and we all know a lot of you guys, your core competency is not being in the bookings business. So then maybe they ended up booking directly with one of your hotels, and again, you guys have no clue what kind of thing happened there. So just keep that in mind, that when you're doing things online, you can't just look at only one part of the pie. You actually have to say, well, we drove this thing, and we got more people to sign up for our email newsletter, which is great. We got more web traffic to this particular section of the site. We got more people doing this, so they're all related.
Make sure whenever you do an email newsletter or any offer, that you send it to your call center first. That make sure everyone knows internally what you're putting out there and putting on the marketplace. That's very important because, like Travelzoo, if you were there yesterday, that happens all the time. We put stuff out and people start picking up the phone and calling the call center. And that's another way of tracking bookings. I mean, how many bookings are, from that ad that you ran are people that pick up the phone. It's a good 50%.
And to finish with the question about the Google Analytics is, your AdWord account with Google can tie in with it now, so you actually get to see the activity and traffic generated on your campaign. But with anything, as was well pointed out, It's the amount of time and effort you put into it. You can drive yourself crazy looking at this stuff over and trying to guess. Internet sales, 20% of your business, influence is 50%. It's not the total answer to it all, as has been well pointed out. What I'd like to ask panel to do is to decide who asks the best question. Obviously, we could keep going on. I thank you very much. This was absolutely outstanding. I wish to ask everyone to thank the panel for participating today. Any, of course, follow-up questions, I've asked that they please make themselves available to the entire conference. And if you have any follow-up questions now or need to get contact information with them, please do so. If you'd like to see about to win the other flash drive, please bring your business card up. We'll put it into a pile and we'll draw before we kick you guys out of here. And thank you all very much again. Remember to fill out the comment form sheets that are on there, and so we have better feedback for even improving the conversations we had today. Thank you very, very much. The glasses? Tom? Is it Tom? Tom? Tom. It was decided you asked the most relevant question of the day, so you get the flash drive.
Please, yes, please.
Please remember to bring up your business card if you want to see we'll bring the flash drive here real quick. We'll do it as fast as we can once we get all the cards available. Thank you, sir. And if you'd like to bring your come-up sheets up, I'll be adjusting them anyway for all excellence, but you can bring them up as well if you'd like. Thank you. Business cards, business cards. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You can't win another one. Oh, yes, yes. Okay, very good. Thank you, sir. All comment sheets going to up. I'm going to put it on. Okay, very good, very good. No, that's fine. Unless you want to enter in to win the flash today. Okay. Any more cards?